How you doing? Build it, RT. Wonderful to have you. And Noah Golem. Hi. Hi. Hi.
Hello, and Gregory Salvatore is here. Let's let him introduce himself. Gregory Salvatore has a great channel. He's a very active member of the community. So we welcome him here, and tell the people a little bit about yourself and your channel.
Hi, Gregory. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, not a problem. Pleasure to have you.
My channel is kind of a little bit, it's a lot about me. It started out to be a channel that was going to be kind of just learning about how to use YouTube for a project for the job I had. That whole thing fell through, and I just kind of walked away from it. And then I bought my Camaro, and I joined a Camaro group, and there was another YouTuber in there, and kind of thought, oh, this is cool. We could kind of grow together and things like that and do things together, knowing another YouTuber and how it's actually better to have multiple YouTubers together. I started my channel back up. And that's where it all started. I do some product reviews. I do some car shows. Through the winter was kind of let's talk about cars. Let's do this. Let's do that. And it turned into, now I do also a Sunday night car show where I bring other people on, whoever wants to join in, and we talk about car topics relating to cars and YouTubers, YouTube car creators. And I even try to bring things in, stories that are much broader than just the car community doing things like, well, I got pulled over and this happened, and have a conversation about that.
Okay.
Yeah, the show he's talking about is what we've been telling y'all about Gregory Salvatore here at 9 to 10. Now, are you going from 9 to 10, or do you go later than that?
It varies. It depends on the topics. It depends on who's in there. Yeah,
a lot of people are doing that. We do that sometimes too. We go a little bit long.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't want to. I've kind of gone back and forth with this, basically because you get I want my videos to be something that people want to watch, and I don't feel that people want to watch a 2-hour video, as a replay. It's great when you're there and you're hanging out and you're commenting and you're talking to people in the chat, but after the fact, I know when I watch videos that are 2 hours long and things like that, I'm just kind of like, all right, this is kind of boring because I can't interact. I can't interject.
So you were talking about you had early on, it had to do with work, and that fell through. But then you started putting your car on there. Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of, well, we know, and most of the people in the chat know, but for the people that don't know, what type of car is it that you have that's on your channel?
I have a 2010 Camaro. It's a V6 model. Get some ribbing about that, but the truth of the matter is that I went out, I didn't buy a channel car. I bought a car and then I had a channel. When I bought the car, well, let's go back. My first car was a 76 Camaro, and I had a 77 Firebird at one time. And when the 2010 Camaro came out, I had kids. And, a $26,000 car was not in the cards at that time. And that was about the starting place and that's actually how much my car was brand new. When I went to buy a car last May, my daughter's car had died. It needed a head gasket. And I was driving a 98 Beetle that was given to me by my mom, who retired and just didn't need 4 cars because that's how many they had. So I was driving this Beetle, and when she gave it to me, Beetle was not my kind of car I wanted. I figured when my daughter turns 16, I'll give it to her, but it was stick and she didn't like it. So she didn't like that it was stick. She likes the car. She doesn't like that it's stick shift. So when we bought her a Forester, when her Forester died, I said, well, now she's driving, you know, she can learn how to drive stick, and she's not learning to drive everything at once. So she was going to take the Beetle, and she was going to drive that, and I was going to go buy a car. And honestly, I was looking at a Ford Focus. I mean, I didn't want to go, I wanted to be at $200 a month. I did not want to be over $250. That was it. No ands, ifs, or buts. Mm-hmm. And, I started looking at cars, and I looked at what was in my price range that I could afford. And, you know, I was kind of settling on a Focus, but I'm just kind of in cars.com going, okay, what's less than $15,000? And all of a sudden my car appeared, and I ended up buying my car for $12,900. My car payments are $221 a month. And people I see, they think this is a $40,000 car, but it's not. It was the base model. It doesn't have a spoiler. It didn't come with floor mats, anything. It was the most basic car I could buy. Now, I'll also say that my car is the first Camaro I've driven since the 5th generation came out, because I knew that once I drove that car, that would have been the end of story. I'd have to have one. So that's kind of the story of how I ended up with the car.
Well, I've heard that you wanted to do some work to it in this next upcoming year. Can you tell us about any specific projects you're wanting to do?
Well, there is one project that I'm we're looking to buy a house. So the projects are on the back burner a little bit, but as things happen, opportunities where I have a little extra money I could put into it, I would do so. But one of the things I really want to do is I want to make the car talk. I want to give it the ability to sit at a car show and literally be able to have a conversation with the car.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And unique. And it's already unique because it's a V6. And I just wanted to point out, it's a little ironic. My last Camaro was a V6 car too, and I was very happy with it.
What color was yours?
Red, of course.
Yeah, you know what? It seems like everybody's got a red Camaro. It's every YouTuber I know practically has a red Camaro.
Camaros are red or black. There's no in between.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
you're not gonna find like the yellow Mustang. You're not gonna find a yellow Camaro. Well, you should because of Bumblebee.
Bumblebee.
Yeah, you know, but still.
Because of Bumblebee. But it's an ugly car. I don't like it. It doesn't look good in yellow. It really doesn't.
Neither does a Mustang.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, they just don't. But yeah, everybody's got the red. It's funny that it's like that. But some of the other projects that I want to do is I just put the flames on it, and I blacked out the whole section in between the tail lights and right beneath it and things like that. And I did it in the cold. It just didn't come out right the way I wanted it to.
Well, there's one other thing I wanted to point out before we get too far away from that same subject, so I don't have to change the subject, get back to it. You know, and I know this is Saneauto, and we're talking a lot about autos, but we have the Sane Enterprises channel where we talk a lot about, you know, success habits and things we do to grow our channels and to, you know, be successful in business and life and everything else. I want to point out something that Gregory said here is very, very good piece of success advice. If you notice what he said, some of the projects and stuff are on the back burner right now because he's concentrating on a house. And that is a huge success habit right there. Sometimes you got to prioritize, and, you know, a house, you know, as much as we love our cars and everything, you know, a house and a home, especially when you got kids, is the priority. So if that is something I just wanted to point out. If you need to be always looking at what other people are doing that are having success and what, you know, priorities they have in order to achieve that success and copy that success. So anybody that's viewing this right now, just notice that's one of the things that Gregory's doing. And you'll notice too, as you watch his channel and watch him grow, he is growing and he is having success. And, you know, making choices like that is one of the reasons why he's having success. Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Greg.
No, that's fine. And you're absolutely right. And, you know, it's the success is not car channels are expensive channels to have because your followers want to see things happen to the car. And, you know, you do have to prioritize. And, you know, right now I'm not large enough to be monetized. And, you know, so that's one of the things, the choices I make. But I'm very, very careful with the choices I make because of that. And, you know, a lot of people are, how do you grow a channel and this and that? And, you know, it's tough and you got to work at it. And you need to make those decisions. And, you know, there are some times I make the decision, okay, I still need to be growing my channel. So how can I do this? Or, you know, I still need to go to car shows. So maybe I don't go to the car show that's $20 to enter. I go to the cruise night that's $2 donation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do know. I do agree with what you said. But going back to the projects coming up, here's a picture of the car, the people that haven't seen my car. And for this year, I added the flames to the side, and I added this the whole back end being blacked out. And when I did that, I did it incorrect. I didn't use knifeless tape. I really screwed it up. It looks good at a distance, but when you get up close, it really looks messed up. So I'm going to be redoing that, hopefully sometime in the near future. But one of the things I want to change when I do that, since I have to take the whole back end apart, I also want to do the afterburner taillights. So it's kind of like, well, this project would probably cost about $100 to redo properly, and I would like to do it all in one shot. So I'm kind of putting it off as long as I can, if that's possible. Some of the things I'd love to do that are really on the back burner right now is a new exhaust, a tune. I don't have a lot of big plans for the car because I'm, you know, like a lot of people are like, oh, you should turbo it. You should this, you should that. I'm like, if I'm going to put that much money into it, I'm going to buy a V8.
Yeah.
I'm going to trade it in on a V8. But to go back to your, how I do things, like this project, the vinyl on this project did not cost me one penny. What I actually did is there's a model that I work with on my channel quite a bit, and her mom actually does kind of the vinyl cutting, like, and she normally most of the stuff that she actually does is like when you want your logo done for your car.
So does she have the machine that
yeah, but she doesn't do like wraps. She more does the personal things. Like if you want a windshield banner, that's really where she concentrates and things like that. The little.
So she's got like the one that's like 3 foot, 4 foot wide.
I think hers is like 2 foot, but yeah,
2 foot. Okay, yeah. So that'd be perfect for stuff like what you got, and for the windshield stuff. But it's not big enough for doing wraps, and that's probably a good decision on her part too, because the market where you do wraps is kind of saturated to the point where a lot of people are lowballing each other, and that cuts a lot of the profit out of doing that business.
Yeah. So this is the model, Miss Felicia Ann, sitting on the back of my car, and she's a teenage model who kind of getting started and getting some popularity. And she needed a website. So I worked on a website for her for payment for the graphics on the car. And that's how I paid for the graphics on my car, was by bartering what I could do for what they need.
Another huge business success secret right there. A lot of people don't talk about much, and a lot of people don't realize, because most people just don't talk about it. They want to give this big air of wealth by acting like they paid for everything, but in reality, when you're building a business from scratch, a business that's built, not bought, you got to do a lot of this bartering. You got to do a lot of making the deal. And you got to make good win-win deals, because you want to be able to do deals with these people again in the future, and you want to promote their business and then promote yours. So, and you want to have a no cash flow, a lot of no cash flow exchange, as many barters with no cash involved as possible, because another advantage to that is there's no taxes on that for either person involved. And that's perfectly legitimate and perfectly legal. No taxes, as long as there's no money changes hands. And so, and it's so much easier on both businesses involved, because cash flow is one of the most difficult things about running a small business.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do a lot of, in fact, you know, one of the other things that I do is, you know, we're both involved in the Iamacreator community, and use that as a way to grow. And I see a lot of those people jumping on there, and really they don't become, their channel's not theirs anymore. All of a sudden it becomes an Iamacreator channel. That's just only a small part of my marketing plan, because I also have something called the YouTube Pack, which is at youtubepack.com, and it's about, I think we're up to 18 members. We're all car channels, and we do things outside of YouTube along with what we do in YouTube. We're all individual channels. We call ourselves a group of individuals. We do things together, but we are all completely separate channels. We run them the way we want. We cover what we want and things like that. I'm the marketing manager and one of the founders, and what I do is I find opportunities for us to grow. For instance, if we have people that really follow the car community and they know about Street Speed 717, Guitarmageddon ZL1, Diablo Formula Racing, when they were small, they did an event in Harrisburg, because that's where they're from, called Motorama. And I looked into it, and you could get a spot for your car for $95. You get a 10 by 20 spot, $95. But for that $95, you get 2 weekend passes, which are $40 a piece, plus a parking pass, which is another 10. So you're getting $90 worth of stuff for $95. So literally it cost me $5 to put a car in there. And we were supposed to go into 3. One had some family issues and backed out. So we went in there with a 10 by 40 space. We put 2 cars in there, and we also had Miss Felicia Ann. She was there as well. I put a 10-foot high by 20-foot high backdrop. I got banners made with our names on it. I got business cards. I got handouts, all these things. And what it ended up costing everybody was like $25 for that exposure. And we had 3,500 pieces of handout. We still have some left over to go to car shows with. So those are some of the things we do above and beyond what everybody else, because we're staying true to our car channel.
That, and I'm glad you brought that up, because your car channel needs to be like one of your pieces of equipment in your garage. That, like, if you take our lathe, for instance, it's a lathe. It's not just one tool. It's you have all these attachments that you have to have in order to use it for anything. And, you know, your channel can be that way as part of your business. Your business, you utilize a lot of tools in your business to grow your business. You utilize a lot of tools to grow your YouTube channel. If your business is far and beyond just a YouTube channel, you know, then it's good for your channel and good for the rest of your business. You don't have all your eggs in one basket. Another thing that you touched on was the communities, the Iamacreator community, and the dangers of getting, you know, too invested in that. And like, I think I know what you're talking about. Some people they've got like the Iamacreator hashtag on every single video they put out and stuff like that. And I'm saying this as a one of the early founders of the community. You know, we were here at the very beginning, and there are a few people that were before us, like McKinsey, stuff. And the original video that went out when it was Iamacreator, before the spelling was changed to Iamacreator, which we were already involved by then. But we got to remember, and you'll notice that even I don't have Iamacreator on every single video I put out and stuff like that, because of what you were talking about. You don't want that to take over your identity. It's a community, and it's an alliance of communities. And there were great communities out there before Iamacreator even existed. Now, we want to take pride in the fact that, you know, we're here early in the community and we're involved in the community, and it's a great community, but we don't want it to just take over our identity, get so invested in it that if anything happens, we're like crushed and don't want to go on. And we want to recognize the other wonderful communities that we were involved in before Iamacreator community even existed. I noticed in our chat right now is Build It RT and a bunch of other guys from the Mopar community that were there before an Iamacreator community even existed. And without their support, we would have been with a lot of other people in the I give up stage, you know. And a lot of people like Camaro time and stuff, we met early on due to the fact we got involved with the Iamacreator community, which is kind of strange because we were in the car community and we were building the Sane community, which was an alliance of car communities before we got involved in the Iamacreator community. And there's so many great Camaro guys and Mustang guys, and you know, and then we met the off-road community and stuff, which, you know, it just made it easier. You know, the Iamacreator community made it easier to get involved in all these other communities, but all these other communities should be given the same kind of respect and the same, if you, for lack of a better way of saying it, put on the same height pedestal as the Iamacreator community, because they do support each other, and you can learn just as much from them. And you don't want to be too invested in any one community or any one platform. Like I mean, look at what a lot of the founders of the Iamacreator community are doing with much more than just YouTube. They've got their Twitters, they've got their Facebooks, they got their, you know, all these other platforms that they're invested in. And even they'll tell you that, because, you know, if anything happens on YouTube, they're changing all the time. You know, you got to be ready to adapt and overcome.
You do. And, you know, that's one of the reasons I have the YouTube Pack website, and why we've been, it got late in the season last year is when we started that. So we're really going to be giving it a push this year. But like you, I keep track of the car events in my area, or I try to. And I do it geographically on a very large scale. I try to do everything from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, just that whole area, plus nationwide, the really big events, where that's kind of the goal. But, you know, I have people, I'm right now, because it's new, I'm going out chasing. Eventually I want the organizers to come to me and say, here, we want to be on your page. And then weekly I send out, here's what's coming up this weekend. Like, here's where you can go. If you're looking for something to do, this is where you can go, as an email. And it's the only thing I send out. I don't send out my videos. I don't send out spam. Once a week, you get a list of car shows in the Northeast area. And, you know, part of that is if YouTube goes away or it changes, let's say Vimeo becomes the next YouTube, I have a way to contact my followers and all the followers of the YouTube Pack. And that's one of the big things of, you know, these guys that really teach you how to grow your channel will say is, you need to not rely on any social media platform. You need to get these people's contacts outside of social media so that they can keep following you when you need to make a change.
Yeah, you have to have a balance between focus on any one thing and diversification. You need enough diversification that if whatever it is you're focusing on suddenly fails, or the whole industry takes a dive. Like with me, I had the second largest transmission rebuilding facility up there in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I was making millions of dollars. And then the industry started to tank. A lot of things changed, including big box retailers, and all the manufacturers started improving transmissions to the point where they didn't fail nearly as much. And the industry started going through the same change that the engine rebuilding industry went through back in the 80s. And some people may not be old enough here to realize what happened there, but in the 70s, there was engine builders on every corner like there is transmission shops today. And like there was transmission shops 10 years ago. And they were all over the place, and they were thriving, and they were making lots of money because there were lots of engines to build. And you're lucky if you get an engine that lasted over 100,000 miles. Now you routinely buy even cheap cars, and you get engines that go 300,000-400,000 miles. The transmissions are starting to get like that. And even though they're more and more complicated, and that the parts prices have gone up and up and up, that took more and more of the profit out of building them. They became more and more complex, which means more and more of these expensive parts, which is less and less profit in building them, and more things that can go wrong, and more potential comebacks, which are deadly to a business, and in so many ways. So, you know, and I owned a parts store already, a transmission parts store already, and I was seeing more and more profit in my parts company and less in the service department. And I eventually just started selling the parts on the computer. And when I started spending an hour or two a day studying on all the different things I needed to know in order to use the internet for selling of my parts, within a year, I was selling worldwide. And so no more service department. To heck with that. And so, you know, but the point is that, you know, industries change. Sometimes the entire industry changes. And so here was a business that was grossing over $500,000 a year and made me a millionaire from the time I was 20 till I was 35. And I just shut it down in favor of something else that I'd been working on behind the scenes. And you need to be ready to do things like that, because the world changes and platforms change and the industries change, and that's the only constant there is change.
Absolutely. You know, or, you know, you have a car YouTube channel in the Northeast and winter comes and there's no more car shows.
Yeah.
Or cruise ins.
Right.
Yeah.
Our cruise ins and stuff right up down here too.
Cars and coffees.
Yep. I tried a lot of different things over the winter. Some worked, some didn't do well at all. Well, and that's another thing, is you got to know when to pull the plug on something. I was doing I think I was doing 5 days a week. I was doing a 60-second car video. And I put it up every day, and it would just be 60 seconds long about one car. And I loved it, and I loved doing it and stuff like that. And, you know, but you have to give, on the internet, on something like this, you need to give at least 30 days to find out if it's working. And it wasn't working. I was getting like 10 views a day, or 10 views a video, maybe 25. And it was just like, I'm doing a lot of work and it's not helping me at all. And it just didn't take off the way I hoped. You need to move on.
Yeah, well, we did a similar experiment, and what was started in the winter, and it was before the letters went out and everything. We were all ready, and we were so glad it prepared us for the demonetization stuff, because we were monetized for a long time before any of this happened. And we weren't in the position where we were trying to get monetized and then they changed the deal. We were already monetized and they changed the deal, and we weren't having a problem with getting lots of views, and we weren't having a problem with getting lots of watch time. And we were actually in the midst of of doing what was going to be 50 days in a row of a video every day, which ended up being over 200 days in a row of a video every day. Went to almost 300. We got cranked up and then caught up in it, and we were looking for so many things to film, and the more we looked for things to film, the better we got at it. And we ended up with all this backlog of filming that people's vehicles that we were filming and stuff, they were all asking, oh, when's that going to be up? When's that going to be up? When can we see it? And so we wanted to get it up there where they could see it because they were excited about it. And so it grew and grew, but our subscribership didn't grow. Well, it grew some, but it didn't grow that much. And like I said before,
the view time was awesome. The view time was awesome.
Oh yeah, the view time and the amount of watch time and everything was awesome. It really helped with that. But and so we were already well over the requirements on view time and stuff. It was just the amount of subscribers that we needed help with. And trying sub for sub kind of thing, that didn't work out. It never does. I mean, you get that roller coaster thing with sub for sub because the people in sub for sub aren't interested in your content. They're not interested in going back to your channel. They just want one visit and that's it, and they're gone. So YouTube has a very effective way of dealing with that to make it not profitable to do sub for sub, and that is by pulling subs. And if you don't ever go back to the channel, you don't notice that they've unsubbed you, so you don't resub, and therefore they've effectively stamped out sub for sub by doing that. And they do a lot of other things with their algorithm that makes sub for sub just not work. And which it wasn't that effective to begin with.
Well, yeah, and I think you touch on something, and it's something going through that's right now that I've seen a lot in the Iamacreator community. I hear everybody saying, I want to grow organically. I want people that are going to watch me. I want people that are, just they want to grow naturally. And they've been bashing supporters because there's flaws in everything. And the flaw of Iamacreator is that if you support 1,000 people and you get 1,000 supporters, great, but those supporters can't watch every video. There's just not enough time in the day.
Right.
It's about helping those that need it to get it. And before I started in that community, the amount of subscribers that watched my videos was 10%. 10% of my views came from subscribers. And I was getting 200 to 400 views I was getting 100 to 200 views a day. Once I joined that community, it went from 10%. It's now, the last time I checked, it was 26%. And that is something they look at. So to sit there and I see people saying, oh, I want people that are genuinely interested in me. Go to Facebook. Those are your friends and family. They're genuinely interested in you because subscribers have never been interested in the people on YouTube. They've never been loyal. They're not going to start. You need 1,000 subs to get into the. You need subscribers for the algorithm, and that's what the Iamacreator is there to help and to support. Give you likes. It's there to help you build the algorithm up, and that's the purpose of it. And that's where it excels.
Right. And that's one of the big, huge differences between communities like that and sub for sub. Sub for sub doesn't do that.
Exactly.
Sub for sub's never done that. And I like one of the strategies that the Mopar community does. Well, I was saying, there's other really great communities out there, and the Mopar community is one of them. And not that other, like Camaro communities and Mustang communities don't do this. But I'm just using Mopar community as an example because they do this very well. And that is they give challenges to each other. Yeah. And that creates more activity in the community. It makes the community more active. and it also gives each other ideas and what is the word I'm looking for? Motivates members of the community to make more videos and put more videos on their channel. Because that's part of the challenge, is that, you know, one does a challenge of this type of video and challenges others to do that video as well, and then it spreads out through the community, and they all make a challenge video of this particular challenge. It creates a lot of activity, and they watch each other's video with the challenge with actual interest to see how each one of them's done that. And it also causes learning in the community of how to make the videos, because everybody makes their videos a little bit different, and they can see ideas of how this person made the challenge video versus how this person made the challenge video, and maybe learn something, and then everybody's videos get a little bit better as well. The quality of content starts to increase a little bit as well. And so there's different strategies in different communities, and that's another reason why you should be involved and see the value, concentrate on the value of the different communities, and never try to be saying this community is so much greater than this other community, and don't get caught up in that. Get caught up in the greatness of each community and learn all the good habits of all the different people in it.
Absolutely. I mean, if I were going to buy a car from a business perspective, if I were going to buy a car for my channel, just a channel car from a business perspective, it would be a Challenger. No ands, ifs, or buts. It wouldn't be, do I want a Mustang? Do I want a Camaro? No, it's a Challenger, because they've got it. The Mopar guys really have it. And I've been involved with, I am involved in the Mopar community heavily, actually, because we have, I think, at least in the YouTube pack, the largest car in there is Mopar. There's a couple other cars, but they're all Mopar guys. Yeah. And they just bring each other in and stuff like that. And they're all across the country. And, you know, I follow some of those guys, and I see Mohav KY is in the chat, and he's saying the challenge videos are cool. And I did the lemon one, I believe. Yeah, I did the lemons for leukemia. And you're right, because everybody does it differently.
That was
one of the challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, the lemons for leukemia. You know, I got challenged by another member of the YouTube pack who didn't do a whole lot with it, but I went back to the person that challenged him, which was Rusty Zipper, who is a Corvette guy. And he did this whole thing how he bought lemons and lost them in the vet. He couldn't find them. He ran over one. I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool to do this. And I was like, what can I do? Like, I
remember exactly what my comment was on his video when he did that, and it was, I bet your garage smells like lemons now.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna do it, and what can I do? And I started thinking about it, and I wasn't really thrilled about eating a lemon. And a lot of people are, you know, they're eating the whole lemon, and that's what their videos are about. You gotta be entertaining, you gotta do something with it. And I decided I was going to do a burnout on a lemon, and it was interesting. People got a kick out of it. I've never had a car powerful enough to do a brake stand. So I did my first ever brake stand on that video to do the lemon. And, you know, I just kind of sat there and came up with a plan and said, you know what? I didn't get challenged. The channel got challenged. And, you know, the car is the star of the channel. I'm not the star. So can I make a Camaro consume a lemon? I said, I think I can. And then I did the burnout. So, you know, it got some great reviews. And I challenged a few people from the YouTube pack, and we have a Facebook group, and I said, I'm sorry, guys, I'm going to show you all up, but you're all going to sit there and you know, just kind of hit your head and go, why didn't I think of that? But
you mentioned 3 people that I was on their channel today watching their videos and commenting because they were nice enough and great enough and helpful enough that they were on my channel commenting on my latest video.
Yeah. Oh, I do that too. Like what I try to do is if you come to my channel and you comment on my video, I try like hell to get to your channel and watch your video and comment on yours before I leave a reply on mine. Doesn't always work. As I get bigger, it gets harder and harder, but I try like hell to do it. And the people that are there regularly, I really try to make sure I get there.
I just barely got caught up on that today. Yesterday, I was 24 hours behind on it.
Yeah, I usually wait a couple days, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to set aside a couple hours.
But yeah, I do, and I tell people to do that too. And you know, when we're having our Sane Enterprise, we're talking about growing the channel and stuff, because that is part of my comment strategy. Is that I make whoever has commented on our channel and our videos a priority as going back and hitting their channel, and because they're following some of the best sales rules there are. They're making it easier, because at that point I'm on the role of the consumer. They've been in the role of consumer. They were consuming my content. They were commenting on my videos, and now it's my turn to return the favor, take on the role of the consumer, go to their, and it's really easy to do, because now I can hit their little icon, go right to their page, see their latest video, consume their content, and make some kind of comment about it. And I don't always have time to make the comment specific to something that's on the video, and some videos are harder than other to pick out something in there that's unique and different that you can, you know, comment about. But you know, I try to make the comments as different as possible, because not just because that's better for their channel, but because they're, you know, the bots are getting better, and the changes that they're making in the algorithm to catch things like copy and paste and seeing the same words over and over again and stuff like that, because that's getting closer and closer to being sub for sub and less like community. So I try to make all my strategies, growth strategies, and everything I do within the communities that I operate in, more like what YouTube would think is community building, and less like what YouTube would think is sub for sub. Well, and that keeps everybody safe.
Yeah, bringing that up, I actually got caught up in that just a couple weeks ago. I've had a channel idea for probably, well, close to a year, and I didn't do it. It was, you know, 2 channels just wasn't, it's so hard to do one. Do you really want to do 2, especially when you're growing to try and get to that monetization? And I have 14 episodes scripted out for it. I have everything set up for it. And what actually happened is I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. And I recorded 3 videos, and I put it up, and I scheduled them. And I didn't hit the schedule. So I kept pushing it back. Then I forgot to push it back, and it went live. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm starting the channel now. And I'm like, that's a good time. I'm involved with Iamacreator. I'm going to do it. And that was that first Iamacreator-thon. And I was in with both channels, and I'm going, but I didn't know how to work with 80 people in, you know, watching. Like, you just got so many people like, and you're checking people out. And what I was doing is going to their channel and subscribing and leaving a comment that I was pasting in so that I could go back. And what happened was I went from 30 to 60 in one night, 30 to 60 supporters in one night. And they flagged me and took the channel down. And now I'm fighting to see if I can get it back, because I have a website with that name. I have everything with that name ready to go. But it's, you know, what am I going to, you know, I'm at their mercy. The truth is that I'm waiting on an answer. I'm hoping to get it, that they give me some sort of answer, but
it's a lesson.
Come back, I'm probably going to put that channel on the back burner again.
Yeah. And I got lucky with the Sane Enterprises channel. It did have a lot of insane growth because of being involved in the communities and the support of the communities. Mostly a lot of the Mopar guys went over there. A lot of the Iamacreator guys went over there. Camaro guys went over there. A few of the Mustang guys went over there and really supported that channel. But I wouldn't even got off my butt and quit procrastinating if it hadn't been for these communities, because I was so wanting to make some videos for them about growing your channel. And it made me even more motivated to make that channel. And so I finally got off my butt and did it. And I started the Sane Enterprises, and it's nothing but the stuff we know about, you know, business management, sales, and growing your YouTube channel, and how to apply what we know about marketing and sales and stuff from doing brick and mortar businesses and into growing your YouTube channel, which should be a business. It should be run as a business. And but we were lucky in that we didn't have that problem where they took the channel down for too much growth too fast. But it can happen, and it's a good warning to anybody that you really got to be careful, because it doesn't take much. If they see a lot of growth and they see even one S word or some copy and paste along with it and stuff like that, I mean, you could lose your channel just like you did. But one of the first warning signs is I still hear a lot of people saying this nowadays. Everybody's going to lose some subs. Everybody's going to have some sub loss, no matter what. For a variety of reasons. Yeah, for a variety of reasons. But if you're losing lots of subs, the number one reason I see for that was way back when, before I knew any better, and I would lose lots of subs. The one thing I did that made the most difference is making sure that even if I'm not actively watching the whole video, don't shut it off. Leave it open in another tab and don't shut it off. Do not make these little bitty short watch times on other people's videos, because that is a big red flag to YouTube that you're a sub for subber.
You know, the thing is that you're killing my watch time too, and watch time is a big factor.
I'm just trying to appeal to the, to the fact, because I know that's not nice to be doing that anyway. But I'm trying to appeal to the fact that everybody ultimately, not everybody, but most people ultimately have their own interest in mind. And even if you're not thinking like what you said about the other person, if you're killing their analytics and stuff, think about your own interest as well. I mean, if you're losing a lot of like handfuls of subs, that may be the reason why. And a lot of people know it, and if they didn't know it before, they know it now because I just said it. Yeah. I mean, if you're complaining to people that you're losing a lot of subs, you're pretty much letting them know what you've been doing.
Absolutely. Well, it's not what you're doing. Here's the thing about the people that complain about losing a lot of subs is that I don't lose a lot of subs. My numbers, they go down. I'll lose 2 or 3 here or there, but I really don't. And I have 700 subscribers. And I think the difference is that you go in these, in like here today, and I'm looking over at our chat and I don't see a lot of the I am a creator type of things going on. And I support you. You know what? Honestly, when somebody in the chat room says they support me, I sit there and go, "You're right. You went over, you hit my subscribe button, and you came back to tell me, hoping that I'll do yours." And I don't. What I do is, or I will. I mean, I do have 3 monitors. I do have the ability to do things. If I go over their channel, if I decide to support them, and I support a lot of people. I go over there, I hit the support button, I let it play, I make a comment, I give a like. I'll do that to anybody, just about anybody. I do have some people that I won't, and usually it's people who are violating copyright.
I agree with that. There's at least 3 things I can think of off the top of my head that stop me from supporting somebody once I get to their channel. If I see any of those 3 things, I'm just like, no.
Right. Yeah, there's probably I can think of 3 reasons I wouldn't too, but
it's not just for me; it's for the good of the community too.
Yeah, it's a lot of things.
Certain people you don't want to bring in.
Well, but here's the thing though. So what I do, by doing all of that, I almost never hit the bell. Like now, people like you, Camaro Time, and those guys, those are channels I know I want to watch and I know I want to be a part of because we're all car guys, we're all car communities. You're definitely in my interest. I'll hit the bell then. But other than that, I usually don't hit the bell right away because I want to see if you're going to come back and actually support me. Like I'm glad to take your numbers. I need to hit that 1,000. I'll gladly take that. And I don't care. I'll take 10,000 of those. My channel, if I have 10,000 subscribers and only 1% watch, I really don't care because it's not a big number. That it's not big in the algorithm. They're really looking at views. That's the most important thing is views.
Well, watch time.
Watch time. Your watch time. You think, but you get. Here's another thing that really gets me is when people say, if you're doing this for money, you're doing it for the wrong reason. And I'm like, no.
You should do everything for money.
I do it for money. I started this channel for money.
Makes money, saves money, or improves your living conditions or the living conditions of the ones you love.
Yeah.
If it's not any of that, you shouldn't be doing it. I mean, wouldn't you get on to your kids if they were doing something other than those three things?
No.
When you tell them that you're wasting your time, what are you doing wasting your life doing this? It doesn't make money. It doesn't save money. It doesn't improve your living conditions. You got to hold yourself to that same standard.
What if it makes you happy?
That improves my living conditions.
Well, if I were doing this to make money, or if I wasn't doing this to make money, if this was something I truly enjoyed doing and wanting to do it, I wouldn't be putting 2-3 videos up a week. I'd be putting up 2-3 a month. You know, it would be when I wouldn't go to a car show to shoot a video. I'd go to a car show to talk to people and then maybe take some video. And there are times when I do that. But
yeah, you should have both. It makes money and you enjoy doing it.
Right. And I do. But here's the difference is that most people that come in here and say, I want to do this to make money, they after a month and they only have 10 subscribers and they got that 1,000 or that 10,000 views that it used to be and all those things, they give up because they're like, oh, this is hard.
Yeah, they do that with every single business.
Right. Well, I went into this knowing that YouTube takes 3 years on average to develop something that gives you some money back, a decent money back. Mm-hmm. And I'm not looking to do this full time because at my age, you know, if let's just say I was a Street Speed 717 with 600,000 subscribers, making $40,000 a month, and that $40,000 a month is not profit. I mean, he's got a brand new ZR1, he's got a brand new Z06, he's got a brand new McLaren, and he's got a Duramax. Those are all project cars. He puts money out, so. You know, he's not putting it in the bank. He's not putting $40,000 a month in the bank. One day this is going to go away. Now he's in his 20s. Now at 30 years old, YouTube goes away and he goes, I need to get a job. He can get a job.
He may already have one. We don't know. But so, you know, those car payments are coming from somewhere and it's probably not YouTube.
Oh, it is. On him,
you think so?
When I say he's making $40,000 a month, I'm telling you as a fact, and by now it's a lot higher than that.
Yeah, but where's the tipping point, though? I mean, you got, and I think you had a video on this where you were looking at his analytics and you were seeing the spike where he bought one of the vehicles and it went up. But we all have seen channels like that where there's been this investment in this really expensive car that gets a lot of views. And then they do the 5 things I like about this car, 5 things I don't like about this car. The usual, right. 10 or 12 videos that gets the views on those kind of really expensive cars. But you got to wonder, there's got to be at some point, just like any other business, there's a negative cash flow for a while to get that started, and somehow, some way, there's got to be a job, there's got to be a wealthy relative, there's got to be somewhere where that money comes from to get that launched, and everybody could grow really fast doing that if they could get hold of the money to get.
Yeah, but he did he didn't do this in a year. He did it over like 4 years. That now he's at that point. He didn't, he started with like
so 4 years.
Hellcat. He started with
still, but even with the Hellcat,
he had a
that's
job.
out of the reach of a lot of people.
That's 600,000 subscribers. I mean, I'm telling you, he is only YouTube. Now you have Guitarmageddon ZL1 with 170,000 subscribers, and he has 2 ZL1s, a brand new truck, and an enclosed trailer. Now he not only does he have the channel, he is a steel worker. And he works at a steel mill. So yes, he's got a good paying job that's allowing him to do both, but that YouTube is helping him. So there are plenty of those, but there are some people out there that are making a killing off of YouTube, and you just.
Well, I'm not disputing that there's people out there making killing off of YouTube. We're going to be doing that too, but what I'm saying is how you get there on a budget. If you have to just go buy a Hellcat, or you like, your situation that you bought by the base Camaro with the V6 in it. If you had a Hellcat, you'd be making a lot more views and a lot more subscribers right now too. Yeah. And that's what I mean by a tipping point. When you get to the point where you can go trade that in on a Hellcat or something like that, then you step up another level.
Right.
And your channel growth, and it will increase your channel growth, but you can't do that now.
No.
And so, this gets into this kind of vague definition of organic growth. What does organic growth really mean? I mean, I know that it's obviously means you're not paying for a lot. You see a lot of other YouTubers on there have really big channels, and sometimes you'll see their video come on before your video as an ad. You could go to AdSense and you can pay for an ad to have your video appear, and that does help grow your channel some if you do it right.
Yeah.
And if you've got the money to do that, but some people consider that's not organic. Some people consider it is, because it's, Google, you're paying Google, and Google owns YouTube. And so YouTube certainly considers it organic. They like it.
Sure it is. Sure it is. It's 100% organic. All you're doing is reaching out to a larger audience to find the people that are interested in your content. Someone who would tell me that, oh, it's not organic to advertise and do this, people I tell them, go back to Facebook. Those are your friends and family. Those are the people that love you. Everybody else is just well,
you can advertise on Facebook too. You can buy advertising on Facebook to put one of your videos out, or you can just put your video out and, on Facebook organically, as what Facebook considers organic. And that's another thing. What Facebook considers organic and what YouTube considers organic are two different things.
Yeah.
So, and what I hear you talking about, and it makes me think about back to business out here in the non-internet world, nobody ever thinks twice about buying some advertising to get foot traffic into their business.
Yep.
So if you get to the point where you can afford it, then why not? Why would it have any kind of stigma to it? As long as you're not going to one of those sites that's pay-per-view type thing where they tell you they're going to get you 10,000 views for a certain amount of money.
Right.
We're talking about actual advertising where you put one of your videos out there to where more people can view it, saying, hey, this is the kind of videos we do on our channel. If you like this video, go to our channel and see more of it, kind of type video. And you pay to have that done. You pay to get that out there. And because, like you were talking about earlier, if part of the algorithm is that nobody ever talks about, is that if you've got a lower number of subscribers or a lower number of watch time or a lower number of views, these three things, you get a lower amount of what is the word?
Well, I know
YouTube
what you're getting at.
promotion, you get a lower amount of promotion for your
Right.
videos. And if you have a higher number of any of those analytics, then you get more promotion. If you've got all three, you get quite a bit more promotion, which means the guys that already have are getting more help from YouTube, and the people that don't, regardless of the quality of their content, just don't get as much promotion. And so, you know, buy some advertising. And this is true in the real world. It's like word of mouth advertising. If you're sitting there in a shop on the corner and you build the best widgets in town, but you got no advertising, you could have the highest quality widgets in town, right on the busiest corner of town. If nobody knows it and you won't buy any advertising, then you'll never grow.
Yeah.
And until you sell enough widgets to be capable of buying some advertising, you can't really do that. You got to get a sign and go stand in front of your store, or whatever you got to do. You got to, like you said, go on your Facebook, tell all your friends and family, go on Twitter and you know, do some trades with other businesses, you know, like we're doing a collab right here.
Right.
And you know, interact with other business owners that are also trying to be put out, build a community of business owners. Like, you know, and what we've always done is gone to Chamber of Commerce meetings and stuff, and where we stand around the table and everybody takes their turn, you know, talking about their business and how they started it. So you get minutes apiece.
And that's something that gets lost in my background and history, is that what I did before YouTube. And what I did before YouTube is I have Gregory Salvatore Media Studios, which is a photography business. And I've taken that into many different ways. But at its core, it was always photography. So, you know, I have a lot of haters that, not necessarily so much haters and trolls like you see on the pages today. I have people who are like, they like my stuff, they're friends, but they're envious of me because I have a photography business. I have a $3,500 camera setup that takes videos. So I have, you know, a real high quality lens, and I can get these great shots that are not GoPro shots. It's not that super wide angle and things like that. And it's like, hey, you know, they're like, they almost give me that look like, why would you go spend this to do this? And I'm like, I didn't spend anything. My other business bought it for me. It's making it paid for itself from its other business. People say, well, how do you edit? What do you use to edit your videos? I like your videos. And I'll say, well, I use Adobe Creative Suite. And they're like, oh, what's that like? And I'm like, well, it's $50 a month. And they're like, why do you spend all that? I said, because I have a business that gives me money to pay for it. You know, I need Photoshop, I need Illustrator, I need Lightroom. And since I have those, I also get everything else as part of the package. So why not use? Essentially, that stuff's free for me. And that's the exact same thing they use to edit blockbuster movies.
Yeah, and that answers our other question. What do you do to pay the bills? Because it's obviously not.
Well, that's not what I do to pay the bills. That's what I do to pay for the YouTube channel. Okay. I actually do have a full-time job. I work in a warehouse, basically 8:30 to 4:30. Because when you have your own business, it's not. Some things have happened in my photography career, but even in the photography business, it's a grueling business that to this point now, I am just, I go word of mouth only. I don't do a lot of advertising because basically the other photographers around and some of the people's attitude, I just don't want to deal with. I do a whole lot more than push a button and no, I'm not going to work for $20 an hour with $10,000 worth of equipment. And by the way, that $20 an hour that I spend 8 hours with you, I also spend another, 36 back editing and doing everything else I have to do to give you a great picture. So I've really kind of been turned off by the industry with that. And now that's one of the reasons I look to YouTube is I want to just kind of completely change that now YouTube replaces that.
Yeah, there's a problem with that in a lot of industries. And what I've taught, all the managers that I've taught and the salespeople that I've taught over the years, and people that have been wanting to open their own business, what I've told them about that is, don't try to be, just like you're saying, don't try to go out there and be the cheapest in your industry and compete on price, because if you do, you're going to be competing with 80-90% of the people that are out there. And if you want to lower your competition in your field, be the highest quality one in the industry and go the extra mile, do a better job, and charge more, and compete with the few guys in that industry that charge a lot and do a really great job. And then not only are suddenly you don't have nearly as much competition, but you'll start meeting these other guys and interacting with these other guys, because they're really the only competition you have. And you can learn from them, they can learn from you, and you can all grow together. You be the top 10% of the industry.
The problem with that is, in my area, is that in order to do that, I would have to put out a large amount for advertising, and it's not really, it's like bridal shows and things like that. And in my area, the wedding industry is just petty. A lot of the people are petty. When I did that wedding 911 channel, I went to my local Facebook group, that all the wedding vendors in the area, and I had one response. I'm like, oh, who wants to do this? And I had people, but I also had people telling me how I should do it. And I'm like, excuse me? And it really came down to that when I did a video for that group, just to live to introduce what it was. My weddings, 95, I mean, all of them actually, but 95% of weddings are, you have a man and a woman, and the bride is the organizer. So I'd say my brides, and they took offense to that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I just chose not to be a part of that community as a whole, and where I would need to be to do it. And I decided to go take it a different direction.
Okay, are you pretty much a hometown guy, or do you move around a lot throughout your life?
For the most part, I've lived in the same area within an hour. My whole life I've lived in the same general area.
So what is the car scene like in that area? What types of cars are really popular around there? I know you drive a Camaro right now. Is it mostly a Camaro area? Or?
No, it is I live in Easton, PA, which is on the New Jersey border of Pennsylvania, about 70 miles north of Philadelphia. Allentown, Pennsylvania is the most popular city in my area. It's the Lehigh Valley is Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton. Allentown's the third largest city in Pennsylvania. So, and this guy from New York wrote a song about it years ago. Well, actually, he wrote a song about Bethlehem and titled it Allentown. And of course, I'm talking about Billy Joel.
Right.
That whole song
immediately came to mind when you said Allentown.
Yeah. The whole song is about Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, but he titled it Allentown. And Bethlehem is right next to Allentown, but whatever. But we have a very large car scene for the most part. I'll tell you, the town I live in is it's a city of 26,000 people. And then we have the suburbs, which I don't even remember the number of how many. It's probably at least 100,000. Maybe not that high, but it's quite a bit. And growing up from about the 1950s until the early 1990s, from 3rd Street to 13th Street, the main drag was nothing but a strip. It was called the Strip. And what it was when I was a kid was you would just basically drive up and down it. and it was so packed you couldn't get over 10 miles an hour anywhere. It was just kids hanging out, yeah, every Friday, Saturday night. Now this went all the way back to the 50s, where it was the drag racing light to light and that kind of thing. But in the early 90s, actually the late 80s, my father's was mayor then, and he is mayor again now, but he neighborhoods were complaining about the loud music and the loud exhaust. It's like, you people, this has been going on since the 50s. So that's a very large part of the history of the town I live in, to the point where about 3 or 4 years ago, like they did away with it. They really cracked down and chased away the kids in the early 90s. And about 3 or 4 years ago, the city has gone through a renaissance. The downtown area is just a thriving nightlife of restaurants and shows and theater and that kind of thing. And they have, like many downtown communities, they have nights out kind of thing. And one of the nights out is on a Saturday night, they have a cruise night. That main drag at 3rd Street is a circle. The road's a circle. It's called Center Square. The houses or the businesses are in a square, but the road is a circle, and it's 2 lanes. And on the inside lane, you actually back in the cars, and it's a car show. They bring in a band that kind of does a lot of specializes in a car show type music. So that happens. We have one of the largest cars and coffees in the area in Bethlehem, at the old Bethlehem Steel Mill. That's every month, and it's just huge. It's like 8 parking lots filled with people of cars. So there is a very large, and it's everything. It's the old time street rods. It's the new Moparts, the new Camaro. It's the new Mustang. It's the imports. It's the exotics. It's literally everything.
It sounds a lot like what's going on down here with all our cruise-ins and stuff, with the variety. And which works out really well for us, because that's what we like to have on our channel. We like to have a variety of vehicles. And the last event we went to last weekend, which was at Hot Rod City, and we filmed a Hellcat, an RT, a 58 Cadillac, an awesome T-Bucket that's supercharged, a couple of Corvettes, and we could have just kept filming and filming and filming. We filmed until we were sunburned to the point I covered it up pretty good, but the last few videos and lives, my nose was actually peeling from the sunburn. So hopefully it doesn't show up too much on camera on those other lives. It's looking a lot better now. But yeah, I mean, that was just all kinds of different vehicles. And that one, there wasn't as many imports as there usually is at most of the cruise-ins and stuff, which here in the Dalton monthly cruise-in, there's even more variety, because a lot of the import guys show up too.
Yeah, there's definitely the different shows. I mean, there are shows that I go to that are old cars. There are shows I go to that there are imports. There are shows that are new cars. There's a shows that I go to that's just everything. It really is a matter of picking the right event for what I want to do. And then I just came back this weekend. There was the YouTube call out, which actually they're coming to North Carolina June 23rd, but I'm not sure which racetrack they're going to. It was I could look it up here, but what it is it's it's Street Speed 717 and Guitarmageddon ZL1 and Duramax Jack. They put on a car show and drag race, and it's event the only place they advertise it is YouTube. They make one video announcing it, and a couple thousand people show up.
So yeah, we're planning on organizing something down here where a lot of YouTubers can come, more than just car guys. But we definitely would like to see a lot of car guys show up, and we're probably going to hold it at a car show. We're going to get together with and make a deal with one of the car show event organizers, where maybe we can have a booth in a corner off to ourselves for YouTubers to show up and meet and greet and go exchange ideas on their channel growth and stuff like that, and physically meet face to face and maybe exchange some more contact information and that kind of thing. Get to know each other a little bit better as YouTubers, and be able to, because if we do it at a car show, a booth at a car show, you have the advantage of not only being able to congregate but there's going to be food there, there's going to be entertainment, most of the car shows we have down here, they have the inflatables for the kids and stuff, so if YouTubers want to bring their kids and stuff, so that seems like to us a really good marriage of a couple of types of events like that. That way people don't have to make arrangements to leave their kids at home and everything. They can come and be together under those kind of conditions.
Yeah, and I have some of those same plans up here, a little different plans than what you're looking at, but yeah, kind of the same thing. Now that YouTube call out in North Carolina is going to be on the June 23rd at Galot Motorsports in Benson.
Let me get the event calendar here, because I like to announce these things on our Sane Sunday Live and things like that. So you're saying June or July?
June 23rd.
June 23rd.
It's the YouTube call out at Galot Motorsports in Benson, North Carolina.
Galot Motorsports? Yeah. Did you say Benton, North Carolina?
Benson, Benson. Camaro Time's in the chat talking about everybody coming. I think Camaro Time's going to be there.
Yeah, I would say he's actually a lot closer to that than we are. And
I've been invited by one of my fans. Wants me to come down. She's pretty close, and her and her husband are like, "Oh, you can stay with us," and the whole bit. And I don't know that that's going to work out, but
yeah, it's nice of them to offer.
Yeah, it would be.
Now, do they have a flyer on Facebook or anything? Because I've got the Saneauto channel on Facebook and the Car Show Cars and Cruisers of North Georgia page on Facebook that a lot of guys put their flyers for their events on there. And sometimes I show that page on Sane Sunday Lives and if anybody else wants to see a lot more events like that, I don't know if there's going to be a flyer for that particular event, but we will be announcing it on Sundays. But if you want to see flyers for a lot more events and those kind of things, then go ahead and hang on. We've got a dog emergency going on. Just give me a second here, or talk to the people for me.
All right. Mojave, you'll pay my gas. Oh man, this is gonna. I'll tell you what, guys. If you really want me to come down, if everybody's gonna help me, that's the hardest part is the money part of it, because it's about an 8-9 hour drive. I'd be driving down Friday afternoon. Probably like Friday at noon, maybe a little earlier. Driving back Sunday. I got a place to stay, but it's it is. I've been to the first 3 YouTube call outs, and give you an idea of what what this is this year they're adding a car show into the mix, but they charge $20 at the gate, $35 if you want to show your car. They'll have a raffle for $25 per ticket. And you can, if you win the raffle, you race a YouTuber of your choice in the car that you want to race them in. So Street Speed 717 has a 1,000 horsepower Z06. He's got a brand new ZR1. He's got a McLaren 570S. You could take your pick of which car to run that he has with him. You can, and then there's also, you can race. In the last one, they had 50 spots, but it's a test and tune, and it's $200 per spot. So it's a little pricey to, I think, for a test and tune, to spend the $200, but that's up to you. And what happens is that, yeah, you can't get on the track itself. You can't get into the burnout pit, but up here at Cecil County, you can get into the pits, you can get into the staging lanes, and you have full access to these guys. You can talk to them, you can record them, you can do anything you want. It's really, they've cracked down. Things have changed, but it's still, it's a great event to meet other YouTubers.
That's pretty
because
awesome.
Everybody there is either a YouTube creator or consumer.
And car people.
Yeah.
So yeah, what a great combination, especially for channels like ours.
Yeah.
You know?
And Camaro Time was saying Hammer Down Motorsports is coming. He'll be there. John Dock will be there. Camaro Time says Nasty 2SS will be there. I know Hammer Down has been on my channel a few times. I've met him a few times. He's a great guy. And I'll tell you what, from a Camaro, Carol, you said they're either red or black. He's got a sharp, I mean, really sharp looking white one.
Yeah, it would have to be really, really good looking for her to agree with it being sharp, being white.
Oh, it's sharp.
And saying that one of the guys he knows has a really sharp looking white Camaro. It's not red and black. I'm sorry, she couldn't hear you because she didn't have her earpiece in.
No, Hammer Down Motorsports has a sharp white and black Camaro. I mean,
come here, Dakota.
Yeah, but you want to complain on camera while we're in live.
Come around here so you can say hello to everybody. Come up here. There you go. Come up here. Say hello. Introduce yourself. This is the girl making all the noise.
Kisses?
Camaro Time says Pro Charge. No, I think it's supercharged. I don't think he has a Pro Charge. I'm almost positive it's a Vortex supercharger. Getting back to, there's a comment in the earlier that I want to go back to.
I'm not bringing baby in. I'm not bringing baby in. Come
on. I need to do the car shows in Michigan. So I have a challenge for Uzolu, and I'm also going to extend it to Sane Auto. If either of you are interested in joining the YouTube pack and heading up a web page, keeping together all the events in your area, I will gladly bring you in the YouTube pack and let you run that page. But it's hard enough to do the area that I'm doing. And I actually would love to get people in those areas to build that up and make it a nationwide type thing. But I can't do a whole nationwide.
Lethal Camaro is.
I already do the events in our area. But I don't do it on a web page. I do it on the Facebook page, Saneauto, and simultaneously on the Facebook page, Car Show Cars and Cruisers of North Georgia. And then I brought it on the calendar and announce a month at a time on our Sane Sunday Live to keep everybody up to date on the car show and cruising events in this area.
Yeah, that's what Ozolu said, is that I need to move out. I need to do Michigan as well, and I'm making the offer to both of you. If either one of you want to come into the YouTube pack and on the website and do it on the website, you're more than welcome to. But I can't do any more than I do now.
I know the feeling, because I don't even have my own website up right now because I just can't handle it. On top of doing the 2 Facebook pages, the 3 now YouTube pages. The 3rd one I haven't even launched yet. It's sitting there in the holding pattern like Sane Enterprises was for a long time. And of course, most attention goes to the Saneauto YouTube.
Sure.
And then a simultaneous amount goes to the Saneauto Facebook page, Sane Enterprises YouTube page, and the Car Show Cars and Cruisers page on Facebook, which is those Facebook pages is where we, besides the written calendar, is where we keep up with the events. There's actually more events on those pages than is on the physical calendar, because what I try to do is just do like a month and a month and a half at a time on the calendars, so that when I'm announcing on Sane Sunday Live, I'm announcing stuff that's within the short amount of time where people like my age can actually remember. So
don't say people
but
my
on
age,
the Facebook page,
because we're only 25.
on the Facebook page, Saneauto, there's stuff on there sometimes that is not even going to occur until October.
Right.
Because all the event coordinators are just putting it on there whenever they put it on there. And so what I do is I write it down on here, schedule it on here, and then sometimes I'll go on the Facebook page, Saneauto, and I'll grab one of those flyers when it gets closer to the event, and I will copy it and make a new post up near the top to get it back up there where people can see it again, because they may not have seen it for 2 or 3 months and they've already forgotten, and they're going to miss out on the event if they don't know about it. And then of course the live show on Sunday helps put it back in their minds.
Yeah, and I you know, it's because I do kind of the same thing. I on Tuesdays I send out a newsletter that it's a blog post, but really what it is it's the car shows for that weekend. So you can go into the full list, and then it does that. But again, the big thing that I do with the YouTube pack by doing that is I'm collecting email addresses. If God forbid I ever had to, YouTube went away and we needed to regroup, go somewhere else, I have a way of contacting those people that I know are interested in our group.
Well, and that reminds me of something else too that I have neglected to say anything about. I should have said something about right at the beginning. I usually do. One of the paid versions of TubeBuddy gives you the ability to capture emails through your YouTube and create an email funnel through your YouTube subscribership. So if you're interested in something like that, you should check it out. I haven't experimented with that yet, and so I'm not know exactly how it works, but when I do, I'll make a video for Sane Enterprises showing how to do it, along with some of my other TubeBuddy videos and TubeBuddy how-to videos.
Yeah, all of those things, I'm until I get monetized and start getting some decent money in, I'm just not willing to do more than the free versions. It's like I use a lot of those things, but it goes back to that business sense. If I'm not monetized, if I'm not getting anything in, why am I putting too much money out? Yeah,
that's it. Rules of cash flow. Right. You don't want to be putting too much out when there's not much coming in. I mean, there's a certain amount, you have to go into the negative a certain amount when a business is new. You think of it as the golden goose, and the golden goose is a baby at this point. It doesn't lay any golden eggs yet until you feed it and care for it and let it grow to the point that it can. But you don't just put a ton of money into a baby golden goose, because it can only eat so much and it can only grow so fast. And so you want to, just feed it and nurture it and hope that it grows quickly and gets to the point where it starts laying golden eggs quickly. And then after it starts laying golden eggs, then you can start reinvesting even more into it and try to snowball that growth with the money that's coming out of it, so that you're not killing one golden goose to try to accelerate the growth of another.
Right. Right. And that's kind of the thing. Like I said, looking for a house, a monthly payment of even $5 a month is just right now. I mean, if I were making $5 a month at YouTube on monetization and okay, yeah, I won't get it for a number of months until I figure it out, but at least it would say, well, it's making me something, and eventually I'll get paid back. But at this point, it's not even paid back. And I'm talking to a few people who have like been over 1,000 for a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You know, like we're hit right after they got demonetized, hit the monetization, and they're still not monetized again yet. So, you know, it's like, wait a minute, you know, they're really pulling some crap. And, you know, I actually, so going back, you said about the monetization and stuff. Well, I started my channel in January of last year and I was already monetized. I had already hit the current threshold to be able to be monetized. And then I stopped it. And in April, they went to 10,000 views, which I didn't have. I went, okay, well, whatever. I'll work through it. I hit that in like October. So I was maybe even earlier, but I was monetized. And then they came out and they said, oh, well, now you need 1,000 hours and 4,000 now, 1,000 view subscribers and 4,000 hours of view. And it's like, wait a minute, you need to stop moving this bar because this is getting ridiculous. And my whole plan is that you bring everything to YouTube from all these other social media groups. It's the center hub because that's the one that pays. Even if it's just a little bit, that's the one that pays. And I'm getting to the point, I'll tell you, I'm sticking with it this time, but they pull this crap one more time, I'm done with YouTube being my center hub. I will still upload to YouTube, but rather than going to Facebook and saying, hey, go check this video out on YouTube, I'm just going to upload it to Facebook and I'm going to go to the affiliate links and my merchandise, and I'm going to make money everywhere else and not worry about AdSense at all. Mm-hmm. Or the other thing I really should do is my website is monetized through AdSense. I can send everybody to my website rather than send them to YouTube. I send them to my website, which I can go to all the places, and I can go on Facebook and put up a teaser video and say, oh, click the link here to go to my website to see the whole video. And I could play those games, and I'm getting to the point because.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because I think that's one of the things that the new lady that is in charge of YouTube is not thinking about when she keeps altering the deal just because she can, and because it means more profit and more bottom line for YouTube, you know, at the expense of the creators. And there's nothing the creators can do about it. She's not keeping in mind that a lot of people who, although they seem small enough to where they wouldn't make any difference individually, there's enough volume of people at our level that would shift their focus to driving traffic to their own websites, driving traffic to Facebook, driving traffic to somewhere else once they get fed up with YouTube essentially lying to them. Because let's face it, if you were the business partner and you and one other business partner and you kept altering your end of the deal, oh, I'm not doing that anymore, but you still got to do exactly what you agreed to, but I'm not going to. I'm going to not give you any this part or that part unless you do better and better, you know, then you would be lying to that partner. You know, it's a form of lying. Yeah. And it's a betrayal of trust. And they've done it so many times that now what I'm hearing you say is you don't trust them anymore. As do I. I don't trust them anymore. I'm thinking, I'm preparing for, as you're preparing for them to raise the bar to 5,000 or 10,000 by next year and do it and betray that trust again. And what I hear you saying and a lot of other people saying is they're going to shift their focus to driving that traffic elsewhere. Well, then that tells me that YouTube has a lot more to lose than they think they do. They think that they got nothing to lose by doing this over and over again because they haven't lost anything so far. But when a lot of people who actually have grown their audience, which they have, because for YouTube, that's like a great byproduct of what they did. Instead of being punished or even annoyed by altering the deal, they've actually been rewarded because when they altered the deal, forced a lot of creators to grow an even bigger audience, which a bigger audience for those creators means a bigger audience for YouTube, which means an actual reward for YouTube for altering the deal. Now what I'm hearing is that they're not going to do this again. These creators are not going to do this again. This time, they're just going to give up and go and drive that traffic somewhere else because they're tired of YouTube just raising the bar, altering the deal, changing their part of the partnership, and so that's going to hurt YouTube, especially with Facebook already having a lot of traffic in the video market, and Amazon talking about doing a big thing, which Amazon's huge. Man, they've got the power to really, if they wanted to, copy all the things that we like about YouTube. They could. They can afford to.
Yeah. It would be interesting because, the affiliate marketing with Amazon and tying that in together as a possibility could really do something if they're smart enough to put it all together. Because that's just the
potential there is huge. The potential there is enormous.
Yeah, it really is. But you know what? Here's the other thing about Amazon is that, all right, so I did, I have an affiliation with them and an affiliate marketing, and I'll go and I'll buy a product and then I'll do a review on it on YouTube, and then I'll post that video on theirs as a review, and they go, "Oh no, you can't do that." I'm like, what? Like, I made this video, a review of this product, put it on my channel over here where I make money. I'm giving it to you here free, and you won't let me put it there.
Yeah, well, one of the funny things about the Amazon affiliate program, because I'm involved in that too, is that if you read your terms as an affiliate, one of the things that is a problem with that, and it's a little sketchy and a little weird, and it might be a little bit difficult in the future, is that you're actually not allowed to mention or use the trademark name Amazon anywhere in your promotion of their products. If you do, then they can, the way they've written it, they said that they're just not going to pay you. You can get the sales and everything, they're just not going to pay you for them. They're not going to give you your affiliate commission. Okay,
so then what about when you're doing like Amazon Music, Amazon Wedding Registry, Amazon, all those, I forget what they're called exactly, but it's not the products, it's their.
Well, what I've been hearing from other people who are in the affiliate program is they're not fully enforcing this, but to an annoying point, sometimes they are to some people,
right? And
which is, really difficult. It's difficult to begin with that they even have this rule. But I've seen in my own affiliate stuff, sometimes I'll have, several hundred clicks, and which is another problem, several hundred clicks and supposedly no purchases out of several hundred clicks. Well, if I had an employee who I'd given, even 10, 20 hot leads like that, people that were interested enough to stop what they were doing and click and go look at the product, and they couldn't close any of 10 or 20, I'd be firing that sucker. Like, dude, you ain't doing your job. You can see this sometimes at hundreds of clicks from Amazon, and supposedly there's no purchase. That just and I don't know how many other people are having that problem, but there are some problems. My point is there are some problems with the system. And then if you turn around and like you were saying, if you've got a situation where you're putting your video or something on Amazon, and you're doing Amazon affiliate links, and then that seems like if they're already doing stuff like that, that's going to get really confusing for us to know what we can do and what we can't do.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that you can't say go to Amazon to buy this product kind of thing, or like advertise that it's an Amazon affiliation. I get that, but Like that wedding channel, that wedding channel was designed to make money. That was definitely a very business-like thing. And the way it was going to be is like, well, if I'm going to have all these brides, I'll send them over there to make a wedding registry, and you get paid $3 per account. And I'm like, well, that's a good deal for me. But what am I supposed to call it? The generic wedding registry?
Exactly. The kind of the gray area that we get into with some of this stuff, and the difficulties that surround it when they have some rules like that. I can think of a few other things they would not want you to say, that they might come up with a rule like that you shouldn't be using, that word, and when you're doing a product, and like if you're trying to, say that you somehow represent them or you work for them, or allude to that and the things that you say, and they could cut that out by just, you just can't say it.
I could see saying that,
and it's hard to even talk about that without sounding like you're saying that you avoiding saying anything like that.
They have a problem with me saying that it's the Amazon wedding registry, but if I said it was the wedding 911 wedding registry and it took off and got really big, they'd be mad because they're not getting the credit too.
Yeah. So we've definitely got to dance around some issues with this, but all in all, I think when somebody like Amazon does finally copy the things we like the most about YouTube, and in that way really compete with YouTube, because all I've really seen when the stuff hit the fan, so to speak, and everybody was freshly angry at YouTube altering the deal, was a lot of platforms trying to take advantage of the emotional part of it at that time and saying, oh, come over to our platform, you're mad at YouTube, come over here, and we'll let you put your stuff over here. But then they didn't want to give you no monetization at all.
Well,
which is not matching or better than what YouTube was doing. It's worse. So why bother?
Well, that's kind of thing. Although, and there are that's the entire thing is the AdSense, and there are some other platforms I've seen that are getting into that, and that's why everybody sticks with YouTube, and that's why I said one more time, I'm done with YouTube. If I get to 1,000 and you give me money, and all of a sudden they go, oh, well, now you need 5,000. It's like, wait a minute, it took me a year to get to 1,000. It's going to take me at least another year to 5,000. What are you going to do in that year? You're going to raise it to 10? Like, I'm done. Like, at this point, I am no longer monetized. You are not giving me something to work with because you keep raising the bar. So I'm just going to not monetize with you forever. I'm going to turn off all monetization. All I'm going to do is I'm going to upload to your platform. I'm not going to let you monetize on the side. I'm not going to let you monetize in my video ever, even if I hit your goals. And I'm going to put my video here on your channel, but I'm also going to duplicate it on every platform I can natively.
Yeah.
So right now I go to Facebook and I say, hey, I got this great video. Check it out. Now, I'm not making any money here. I might as well just upload it to Facebook directly.
Right now, YouTube has barely the best deal in town, even though they've altered the deal, because they still give you some monetization at some point. But like you're saying, if they alter the deal again, and then that puts them at being no better deal than all these other platforms, and you might as well be you putting the same amount of effort into the other platforms or even more if you're not going to get monetized anyway. And I think that's one of the things that YouTube just does not realize, doesn't want to see, or at least the lady that's running YouTube right now does not want to see, does not want to realize, and does not want to factor in when they're reaping all these rewards of doing this the last time, because there were rewards for YouTube for doing this the last time.
Well, YouTube is going towards their direction is definitely headed towards, they want to be a cable company. That's where they're headed. And why would you go into a market that's so saturated? I mean,
well, not only that,
dying.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Why are they copying the business model of the business that they are beating and giving up the business model that they used to beat it with?
Yeah.
I mean, and it was cooperating with us that gave them the ability to beat both cable and television. YouTube's got more viewers in prime time right now while we're broadcasting. YouTube is getting more viewership right now than all three of the big networks combined. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is because the differences on YouTube and the creators, what they create on YouTube is causing that to happen. And all those creators that are bringing in the most viewership started out smaller than we are right now. And one of the reasons why they started out and kept creating when they were smaller than we are right now is because of the monetization. Gave them that little bit of reward. And I see a lot of the big YouTubers, and some big YouTubers are really are saying the same thing that we're saying, but some big YouTubers are saying, why you bother getting upset about this when it's such a little bit of money, and just don't worry about it. Just keep
a little bit of money.
because it's you know, it's a sharing thing. We know that they are making money off of what we're creating, and it's no different from if we were creating a physical widget, putting it on a table on the side of the road because we have no money to rent a building or anything. We rented a booth at a flea market, and we're putting our widgets on the table, and we made a deal with the flea market guy that because we don't have money up front to rent the booth space, that would give them a percentage of our widget income. And then they say, no, if you want your booth space here, you're going to give us every bit of the money you make, and you're going home with nothing. Well, and not being monetized is the same thing. And because YouTube gives a little bit of that AdSense money, and all the other platforms are like the guy that I described that takes all the money and keeps all the money from the advertising and doesn't share anything with the creators, then YouTube has the best thing going right now. That is the difference. And if YouTube takes that away and keeps taking that away and taking that away, then they're no different than the other platforms.
Yep. Oh, I agree with you 100%. I think, well, you know, I compare it to, yeah, I can remember going to the clubs and stuff. And I worked in New York when I was in my 20s. And, you know, there was this girl that we had an organization. We raised money for Parkinson's disease, and it was a bunch of professionals. And we would get together like one night a month, I think it was, at a bar, you know. And one of the girls in the group, she was really into the nightlife scene in New York. She lived in the city. I didn't. And she would be like telling us to go to these places. Like she would go, okay, you go to this street and you walk down and you'll see an Indian head on the wall, and you go down in the basement, down the steps to get into this club. And it's this like amazing, you know, nightclub kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, so it's really, you know, this like niche thing that nobody knows about, but the people there are the coolest people. And all of a sudden it gets more popular and more popular and more popular. And all of a sudden then maybe there's a name on the door and people are coming, but it's still word of mouth. And then all of a sudden they go, wow, this is really great. Everybody's flocking there. Now the cool people don't go there anymore. And that's where YouTube is right now. It is at a crossroad where they're going to go, nope, we only want the big people and the celebrities, and all the cool people are going to leave. They're going to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I like that analogy. Because there's it's, you know, none of our analogies with this stuff are absolutely perfectly fit exactly what's going on with YouTube, but a lot of them have both of what we were saying has a lot of similarities with what's going on here. And good warnings to anybody that's at YouTube listening right now, that, you know, just with other businesses, not just YouTube, this kind of thing has happened, and it does, you know, kill the platform. It does, and it not just change the platform, because we know that everything's going to change. Change is the only constant. We know that the platform's going to change. We're going to have to change with it or go somewhere else. But it doesn't have to change for the worse for the creators, just for it to be better for the advertisers and for YouTube. It can change in a way that's a win-win-win, which is what we try to do with our communities, is do everything in a way that's a win-win, where everybody involved gains something from it. And if YouTube needs to get back to that, where the creators are included in the win-win-win scenario, not just the advertisers and not just the YouTube platform, because just like the late Zig Ziglar used to say, well, it wasn't Zig, it was Stephen Covey would say, if you're not going for a win-win scenario, whether you go for a lose-win scenario or a win-lose scenario, either one of those that has a lose element in it ultimately ends up being a lose-lose for everybody.
Yep.
It ultimately comes back to the one that thinks they're doing all the winning because they made somebody else lose. It usually ends up coming around and biting them in the butt. And just like the sub for sub thing, it doesn't work because, you know, there's somebody that loses, and the loser in the sub for sub thing. Yeah, ultimately everybody loses in the sub for sub thing, because the first one to lose is the advertiser. The advertiser's paying to have their advertisement on a page that gets a lot of real views and watch time. And so if you pay to be on something that just has a bunch of inflated subs, but nobody ever watches it, then you're not getting your money's worth. So the advertiser's a loser in that scenario, and ultimately everybody loses. It's the same thing when the creators become the losers of the scenario. The creators become the loser of the scenario, and they're doing all this work and they're not getting anything from it. Ultimately, everybody else involved is going to lose too. It's just like, you know, in the olden days when you had slave societies where people would go conquer this land and then they take the people as slaves, and ultimately it just blew up in everybody's face. Yeah. It's, you know, you think you hit a gold mine because you got a bunch of people working for nothing, and eventually they rebel and revolt, and then everybody has nothing.
Yeah, it's a shame. And, you know, I don't know if you saw that the CEO of YouTube started a channel, I think the end of last year, the middle of last year. And I think when I checked it, she made like 3 videos. You know, oh,
she got 1 million subscribers already
to the community. And yeah, she did like 3 videos. And it's like, you know what? You know, she didn't make them. She sat and read a script that somebody else wrote and somebody else shot and somebody else edited.
If she even wrote the script.
That's what I said. Is somebody else wrote it. All she did was read the script. But the thing is I said, you know what? They should make her make a channel, and they should tie her salary and bonus to her channel. Then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. It's kind of like the same thing that I've thought many, many times about public officials having the same health care as we do. And I'm not a socialist now. And I'm thinking I'm, you know something about my politics.
I've always been a strong believer that they ought to make every teenager work in a fast food restaurant, and they ought to make every politician live on a normal person's salary.
Well, a lot of the elected officials do kind of live on a normal salary as far as their public salary for that job, but there's a lot more gains involved in that position than just the salary. And one of the which is that most of the elected officials, they get their health care for life if they've been in office for more than 2 or 3 years. And
yeah,
that's not right.
About Congress, because there's a lot of public, even in Congress, there's a lot of officials. You hear about the big salaries. You don't hear about the guys from the small states and the small areas that.
Yeah, the city council people that's making $25,000 a year.
Who actually are in that job to make a difference, and
I agree.
All for it.
That's why
there are those others that have been career politicians, and they don't remember what it's like.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that there are those people, but the problem is what's normal. I struggle to pay for my $221 car payment for a 2010 Camaro that I lucked out. I mean, when I bought that car, 3 weeks after I bought that car, somebody hit it with a BB gun in three places, and I was pissed, and I went to social media pissed. And, people are sitting there going, and red oxidizes so bad. I'm worried, are they going to be able to match it? This and that. I'm mad. I'm genuinely mad. And people are going, well, it's a new car. It should be easy to match. I'm like, new car. It's 7 years old. It's not new, And it's like, oh, people don't, they sure, Camaro guys know what it is. Camaro, and even muscle car guys know that the only difference between my car and a V8 is that little mail slot that I hate anyway. But the average person, I can't tell you honestly. Let me just pull this up real quick. You cannot even imagine how many times people have talked to me and come up to me and thought this was a first gen, like a Foose redone first gen car. They don't know it's a 2010 because I put that billet Phantom grille on the front and it's got that Krager SS style rim. People think that it's like a 68, 67, 69, whatever, and have actually come up to me and talked to me like it was. It's amazing. And, so they also think that when I buy a new car and they do know that it's a newer car, they think it's a brand new car and that it's a $40,000 car. But, then you see the same people who are driving around the $40,000 cars are all over the place too. So what's a normal income? What are normal people? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it is a matter of perspective, but I was talking of normal middle class, average American income.
In my area, the average income is $80,000 a year. That's the household average income. If I had $80,000 a year, I could afford the $40,000 SS. I don't make.
But you're working on it. You're working towards that.
I'm working towards it.
You just got to keep
not anywhere near.
Don't give up.
And a part of that is my wife can't work, and we're fighting for disability for her, and that's a very long process. And she can't even try to. If she even there's been times where she would sit there. I mean, we've been fighting for 3 years, and she's like ready to give up and go get a job, but she can't hold a job because she just can't work. She can't do it. It's impossible for her to do it, but it's one of these invisible illnesses. And, she's like, she'll get to a point where she's so frustrated. She's like going to go out and try. I'm like, you go out and get a job now after 3 years, because that blows away disability. Even if she can't handle it, just going out and getting a job, they go, oh, see, you can work. And that's the end of it. And I'm like, no, you need to. So we struggle with only one income and things like that. And like I said, the average income is about 40,000. I'm still not real close to that either. So, and I haven't been for a number of years. Actually, come to think of it, the last time I was at that income, I was actually in customer service, but I was working in the insurance field, and I had property and casualty licenses, and I had in the 48 states and Washington, D.C. Yeah, I know, that's why I said that. But even that industry,
I'm getting life too. I'm working on my life now.
I was working on that, and I got so fed up with the industry. I just wanted out of it more than anything else. And
I want to do the financials as well.
Yeah. The problem
That's
with
where the money's at.
The thing I don't like about insurance today is it was started, for those that don't know, I'm sure, Carol, I'm sure you know this story. Insurance was started by Benjamin Franklin And the way it worked is that back in his time, you didn't have fire departments, you had bucket brigades, and every man or male had to work the bucket brigade. If there was a fire, everybody in the community went to help put out the fire. Now, the way insurance came in is, let's say your house cost $100 and there were 200 people in the community. Everybody gave that person 50 cents to rebuild their house. That was insurance. Today, all right, it's a business. You got to pay the employees. So you're going to have some expenses. I get it. But I didn't work for an agent. I worked for the actual insurance companies. And all I heard about was how we were having record years and how the investors were making money. And I'm sitting there like, really? That's why my insurance premiums are so high, is because you're giving money to investors. Insurance should be nonprofit. It should not have a profit to it. And that's my opinion. I just got so fed up with it, I left.
Well, I'm glad it does have profit, because that profit.
No, you're getting paid as an employee. I'm talking about investors. I'm talking about the person who says, okay, I'll give you some money, but I want a whole lot more back. You know, you're working for your money, and so are the customer service reps, and you need all those people to do that. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that they're making money and giving it to investors, not making money and giving it to because I was vocal with the Hartford when healthcare prices started going up drastically, and they're saying, well, your healthcare is going up $100 a month, but hey, we have record profits. You know, like, wait a minute, time out. Why are you showing record profits and I'm making less money?
Yeah.
Well, in every industry, we need competition to put a cap on that. And, you know, there seems to be, and I've always told people from a business owner's perspective, cooperation is a lot more profitable than competition. So that's why we need to be, as channel owners and stuff, cooperate as much as possible. We can grow our channels faster and stuff. But when you get too much cooperation, like you have in the insurance industry and other industries that are record profits, oil industry, stuff like that, then sometimes the profits just go too high, and you end up in another one of those big win, lose-lose kind of situations.
Right.
And if anybody is losing in the situation because somebody is winning too big, then it's not a balance anymore. But there always should be some profit, or people won't be,
there should be profit.
People won't want to do the industry at all. But and we're seeing something like that with YouTube, with YouTube being the only one that gives monetization the way they do. There's no competition is one of the reasons why we're seeing problems.
But he does have a very valid point.
Yeah, absolutely.
The profit in insurance is
really high for one party involved.
Yeah.
The investors, which are the owners of the company. If you invest in the company, you own the stock.
The people who
you're the owner of the
pay
company.
for their insurance,
it shouldn't be lopsided.
Should get benefit instead of their premiums going up and up and up and up. Sometimes they should come down.
Yeah.
The only way to do that, and this is a cheat code for insurance, everybody. The only way to do that is to shop your insurance every 2 years.
Yeah, don't just blindly be loyal to one insurance company.
And you did not hear that from me.
You don't want to be, in any industry, you don't want to be blindly loyal to one brand. And I don't mind saying this about
we have customers that have been with us.
Apple products, but don't blindly be, loyal to Apple no matter how much their stuff costs. If Samsung puts out a product that's a similar product and it's better and a cheaper price, buy the Samsung so that maybe Apple will be a little bit cheaper next year.
We have customers that have been with our
as a consumer have some control over this, excessive profiteering, and without having to, down profiting at all.
We have customers who have been with our agency before our agency was owned by the owner it's owned by now. We have customers that have been with the agency for 40 years. That's how long the agency's been there.
Yeah.
And their premiums are outrageous. And they just keep rolling it over into another company, another line.
I had a company, and I won't say who, but I had a company and my daughter turned 16. I'm sorry, it was before she was 6. Well, she was 16. What basically happened is we bought a Forester before she got her actual license.
Yeah.
So I called my insurance company. I said, I bought this vehicle. I want to add it to the insurance. Now I had 2 cars, and let me think. At that time, I would have had the '98 Beetle, and I had a 2001 Crown Vic.
When
he had the vehicle. What year was it when he had the vehicle?
Yeah. So I called them up. I said, okay, I want to add a Subaru Forester. I forget what year it was, maybe a '98 or something like that. And I said, or no, it was a 2004. I said, it's going to be just an extra vehicle, pleasure use. I'll be the driver because my daughter didn't have a license yet. She wasn't on the policy. My insurance doubled. It more than doubled. Yeah, that I see Carol's face. I'm like, yeah, exactly. That was my face. I'm like, what? She goes,
now I can see adding your daughter and it doubling.
Exactly.
That can add $1,000 to your insurance.
Sure, absolutely. But she wasn't on the policy yet. And I'm sitting there and I'm in work. I'm in an office and in a cubicle, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, what? She's like, well, that would be the price. I said, no. I didn't buy a Corvette. I bought a Subaru Forester.
Yeah.
And I don't need collision on it. I just need, I said, I'll take comprehensive because we've had some problems with glass breakage and stuff, and it's worth it. It was
comprehensive with low deductible.
It was double. And I went, you've got to be crazy. And I didn't have a choice. I put it on, because I bought the car, but I was going to look. And I started shopping around, especially when, I think I finally switched when I bought the Camaro. And the Camaro, I was paying less for the Beetle, the Crown Vic, and the Camaro with a 16-year-old driver than I was paying for the 3 vehicles with 2 drivers in their 40s. That was it. They're like, oh, well, if you change your mind or whatever. I'm like, no, I'm not changing. I'm not coming back to you. That was a ridiculous price. You used to have the best rates in Pennsylvania, and these are now the worst.
Well, I mean, that comes and goes. Right. Last year, the company I'm with was the worst in our town as far as price was concerned. This year, I'm really competitive, and I am writing policies left and right because everybody's shopping. Because
they give her the room to be more competitive and give better deals.
Yeah, and I get that. I understand, but I'm also like, you know what? If you're going to price gouge me, I'm never coming back to you regardless of what your prices are. I'd rather pay a little bit more with a company that didn't price gouge me.
Right. Well, that's because you had a betrayal of trust when they did that.
Right.
And that's something that if anybody from YouTube is listening to right now should, and I know it seems like I'm just driving that point home, but I'm driving that point home. When you have any party involved that you do business with, whether it be the advertising customers or, whatever customer you have, or your employees or your partners, which we're the partners, and you betray that trust, then that really sticks in there negatively, and it comes back around and affects you. So YouTube they're reaping rewards right now from the betrayal of trust, because it did save them a lot of money.
Sure.
And get them a lot of continued.
You know what? It also cost them a lot of money. Because here's what I don't understand is like,
I don't think they're looking at the cost.
They were still making, I'm a small YouTuber, you made $100 off of me. in the 6 months I was there. You made $100. Okay, you could write off that $100, but you multiply that times thousands of YouTubers that you were making you $100 in 6 months.
Millions. Look at our Social Blade stuff, and you look at yourself and you say, you look at that Social Blade thing and it says that you're the 2,900,000th,
right,
you know, whatever. And you think that there are tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of people on YouTube. That means there's at least 10, maybe 100 million people that don't bring in as much as you do.
Right.
Okay, so if that means that there's tens of millions of people below you, then you multiply that number of that little bit of money per month by that tens of millions, and then the ones below them, they're just consumers. They never put any content on or anything like that anyway, so that would no difference from them. But you know, we seem to, you know, we say small creator and we talk small creator and compared to bigger creators. But one of the things that we don't talk about much is how much bigger we are than the even smaller creators, and how many there are of us combined. Like you just pointed out, a lot of us combined, and then multiply that, what a lot of people like to say is a small number per month, by that many creators, and then multiply that by the 12 months in the year, because that alone, if you're only making $100 a month, at 12 months a year, that's $1,200 a year out of your budget. And then there's, you know, 10 million of those. Blam, 10 million by 12 multiplied by $1,200. Well,
and here's the other big mistake YouTube made. And I mean, this is just, honestly, the CEO of YouTube's a moron. You sit there and you go, you sit there and say, the advertisers come to you and they say, we don't like what they're doing. We don't want to be on their channel, blah, but we're going to pull our advertising. You know what? Here's what I would have said if I was the CEO of YouTube. Okay.
Have you what I would have said to him is, have you seen what the television shows are putting on with your advertising?
Let me finish. I would have said, that's fine. You go. We'll take our 1.5 billion users per month that Camaro Time just put in the chat. And we'll give that money. We'll give that space to somebody else that isn't so ridiculous on the requirements. So if you don't want to reach 1.5 billion users, you take care. Thank you. We'll find somebody who wants to do that.
And you know
what?
You're
They're going to sit there and go.
What the television companies say to them.
You're right. Exactly. They're going to go. I said, look, nobody on YouTube thinks that the person on YouTube and their comment, you know, when Logan Paul goes in and makes some stupid remark, nobody blames YouTube for that. The advertisers are no consumer says, oh my God, Pepsi's advertising on a channel on YouTube and YouTube allowed this. Okay, you need to deal with it. You need to get rid of it. You knock him off, whatever. But you don't sit there and say, oh my God, we'll change. Please, please, please. We have 1.5 billion people. Yes, we will change. No, you sit there and go, bye. You'll be back.
Yeah.
What you're talking about take you back. I understand. Like when you get smart, you come back, we'll take care of you. And people are going to go, oh, okay, we'll stay.
Yeah.
I am going to tell everybody goodbye, good night, have a good evening. I'm sorry, Gregory, but I have to work tomorrow and I am dead.
Okay. And I'm going to wrap it up soon after she goes. But yeah, there's a really good points there, and it really goes along with a lot of the business management training that I've been to, and the management books that I've read where they're teaching about negotiations and dealing from a position of strength. I mean, somebody in YouTube, a lot of people in YouTube really did handle that situation very badly. They put they immediately allowed the advertisers to demonize somebody involved, and somehow that demonization ended up getting put on the creators, which is, you know, one of the parties involved. And when really it was only the it wasn't just Les Paul that was doing things that were questionable, but it still was a few. And let's face it, a lot of the part of this was YouTube's policy's fault. None of it was the small creators' fault, because there weren't any more small creators doing these bad things as there were big creators. Because when people get on there and they put a YouTube channel together and they put a bunch of shock value on there, which, let's face it, that's what television does. They put a bunch of shows on there with a lot of shock value.
Right.
When people go on there and they're willing to do that, act like idiots and do a lot of shock value stuff, that gets a lot of views.
Yeah.
And that gets a lot of watch time, and that gets a lot of subscribers. So for YouTube to pretend that this move to require more subscribers and more watch time and more views is somehow designed to put a stop to that is just blatantly an insult to our intelligence.
And that wasn't it. I mean, that's been something that's going around, and that's false. Before Logan Paul ever did that video, this was in the works.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the reason they do this, and I think the reason for the 4,000 hours of watch time, is because you have channels on there that are not producing anything, that are monetized, that get 50 cents a month, and they got to maintain all of those accounts. I really think that's what it is that it's well,
I wasn't saying that because of some rumor that was going around. I'm saying that because I've read the letter that they sent me, and the letter that they sent me said that they were, the reason they were doing this was because they didn't mention Les Paul, but they did mention bad actors. They said it was because of bad actors.
But that was geared towards the problem with that letter was it was geared towards the advertisers, not towards us. We never should have gotten that letter. It should have been something a little different. But you know, here's another example of that whole situation. That is the equivalent of Pepsi going to Walmart and saying, we don't want to sell our product in your store anymore because you have all kinds of people. I mean, you sell to the lowest common denominator, and I can tell that by the way the videos are. You know what I'm talking about, the people of Walmart videos and those types of things. It would be like coming to them and saying, well, we don't want to sell you. And what would Walmart do? Buy? We're not going to alienate a portion of our
customer base.
Customers because you want us to kick them out.
Yeah. Well.
So now you can redo this video, the title of this video to
stay till the end.
Saneauto and Gregory Salvatore bash YouTube and call the CEO a moron.
Well, that'll get spun into something. Well, I haven't personally met her, so I don't know. But I wish she, I wish she would do things differently. Some things differently. Some of the things I'm hoping are just going to stay the same. The things that make YouTube great would stay the same and get copied by other platforms. And because they still are, at least they're still the best deal going on right now, if they don't alter the deal again.
Well, the other thing is that I know somebody who I actually talked to. I guess he got demonetized and literally hit monetization the next day. And he still hasn't gotten, he's still not monetized. He's not getting.
You mean he hit monetization requirements the next day?
Yeah, he met the requirements the next day. And
well, I can beat that. I went from monetized I met the requirements before the deadline. Again, every time they upped the requirements, I met the requirements before the deadline. And this last time I met the only thing I needed was the last bit of the 1,000 subscribers at that point. Yeah. I got the 1,000 subscribers like 3 days before the deadline, and then some. Had a buffer amount. I think it was like 11 and 50 or something, 1,050, something like that. And it fluctuated between 1,050 to 1,100, something like that. The deadline came and went. They demonetized my channel anyway for a few days. So for a few days, I was sitting there sweating. Hey, I've always met all the requirements. I've always been monetized, and now I'm demonetized, and I don't know what to do. I don't know, who to contact or what to say to them and stuff like that. So I sweated for a few days, and then they turned my monetization back on.
This is a guy who was in that same situation, and he's still not monetized. And
wow.
Here we are in May, and he's still not gotten his monetization. He told me he's got a ton of videos on there. He's still uploading, but they're all private. He won't release them until he gets monetization. He's already calculated that he's lost $1,200.
Right, and I can see how easily that would be true.
Yeah, he's sitting there now saying, "I'm not making any of it. Once they give me the monetization, I'll just put out one video a day."
Has he shut off all the ads too?
I don't know. I've shut off all the ads on mine.
I think that's a good move, because I would do that. If they weren't sharing any of the ad revenue with me, I would just shut off all the ads too.
Yeah, those side ads. I mean, I've had some people say, "Why would you do that?" They're going to this. I'm like, you know what?
Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? It's just business,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
they're not, I will gladly give them their side ads. I will gladly give them their 45%, but not if they're not going to share with me.
Exactly. I mean, it's the whole reason why we're not on other putting our major focus to the other platforms.
Yeah.
Because the other platforms are not sharing any of the ad revenue.
Right. And that's the only reason. That's the reason I picked YouTube. Otherwise, if I put a video up on Facebook, I will get a lot more views than I will get on here.
There are other platforms that you can get more views, but if they're not going to, like you said, if YouTube is sharing some of the monetization ad revenue for that, and the others are not, then what's the use in having the extra views, unless it's funneling customers into your business or other monetized efforts? Then what's the point?
If Facebook were to add the monetization, they'd be number one again. I mean, they still are number one, but it's not cool to be on Facebook. The younger generation's not on Facebook, but if they shared, people would flock. They would wipe YouTube out.
Mm-hmm. And that was my whole point about not really wanting to bash YouTube. I'm just wanting to point out and what I'm trying to say, I don't think that the people in charge of YouTube are looking at that very point right there, that they are opening themselves up, making themselves very vulnerable by doing this, because it is their biggest shield against that kind of problem, against the competition. Their biggest shield is that they share some of the ad revenue with the creators, and that shields them against being beat out by other competitors. Yeah. It is the one thing that makes them the best deal out there for creators.
That's the only thing. There's nothing else good about YouTube, that you can't get somewhere else.
Well, that you can't get somewhere else. I agree with that, but there's lots of good things. But like you said, they're copied elsewhere. You can't get
somewhere else. And because of that, they have the largest community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why the other platforms that thought they were going to take over because people were angry at YouTube without copying the monetization, that failed. That attempt failed to get a bunch of people to flock over to their platforms without matching the monetization that YouTube took away. because that bad emotional decision didn't last long. I mean, some people went to other platforms anyway, but other people, after they calmed down, thought about it and thought, well, the chance that I might get monetized later is still a better deal than them telling me that I'm never going to be monetized at all, no matter what I do on the other platforms.
Yeah, and 1,000 and 4,000. I mean, 4,000 hours in a year really isn't that hard. I was sitting at about 300 subscribers when that came out, and I realized that there is absolutely no way I'm going to make 1,000 subscribers in a month. And what I did was, I decided I was going to get a payout. I mean, I sit here today, YouTube has none of my money. I have it all. I did a drive. I used my website. In February or March or whatever it was, I got $120 from AdSense. I got $20 from Amazon, and I sold my first piece of clothing merchandise with my logo on it. So like I got around probably close to $200, $150, $200, somewhere in that area. In that time period when everything was demonetized. So that was my goal, and I met it because that was a realistic goal that I could get to.
Right. Well, Gregory, it has been awesome, and I am so glad we had you here on this, but I'm going to have to wrap it up. It's getting close to 9:30.
Yeah, I see that.
At least it is here. Not everybody in the chat is in the same time zone, but you're on the Eastern time zone too, so I know it's got to be as late for you as it is for me.
Yeah, I got some work to do before I go to bed yet.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Yeah, 9:30 means it's probably going to be 10:30 or 11 before we get to bed.
Yeah.
All right. And you've got kids too, I believe.
Well, I have older kids. I have a daughter that's turning 13 in 12 days, and I have an 18-year-old in college.
Well, I feel for you. Mine are grown. Mine have already been through their jumping out of airplanes and all that kind of stuff, and so they're pretty settled down now. Don't have to worry about them very much.
Yeah.
But it has been a pleasure. I thank you for being here. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat
that
I can't see. And I know a lot of the Mopar community are there, and Camaro Time and a bunch of the other guys. And one little shout out for some of the people that have been in our chat on our videos, our latest videos. People like Uzo Lou, DSW Joyride Productions, Johnny Pro, Joe Z, Little Dumpling, Rusty Zipper, Rev and Redline, Demon Durango, Scott Pearson Tools and More, Bottle Caps, Choppers Rule 1, Night Shame, and Alan Oxendine. We really appreciate y'all watching our videos and commenting in our chats. I know there's some people out there that's been watching our videos. We appreciate you too, even though you didn't comment on the chats. It just makes it easier for me to go back to your channel and watch your videos too when you do comment. And I like to give shout outs on top of that. So, wow. Gregory, we wish you insane growth. And you're doing a lot of the right things and setting a really good example. And I'm sure you're going to be even more successful than you are now doing the things that you're doing. And we will see you in the chats on your videos and on our videos.
Absolutely.
You have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
Any last thing you'd like to say to the audience before we go? Any upcoming events?
Thank you, everybody. Great community. A lot of the names in the chat I see on my channel as well. I've talked to in other videos and things like that. Thanks for coming by.
All right. You have any live scheduled for the next week or anything like that you want to tell anybody about?
Live every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Very good. And on Sunday as well, we will be there at 2 to 4, and Sane Enterprises will be there at actually we will be there from 2 to 3:30 now, because we take a little break before we go on Sane Enterprises at 4 to 6. And like Gregory said, he will be on at 9. And then again, every Wednesday. And if you want to be a guest like Gregory has been, and then drop me a message on Twitter or Facebook. You can find me Victor Sane on Twitter or Facebook, or Saneauto on Facebook. And we'll see you in the next one.